So, of course, as expected, after Nintendo announced the Switch 2 and the pricing information came out, revealing a bunch of problems, chief among them once again breaking the game price barrier, increasing it from $70 to $80, the domino effect where all the other greedy in the industry follow along increasing their prices as well, is finally here. Honestly, I'm even surprised that it took this long. It must have really taken Xbox a lot of restraint to have held out the last couple of weeks. But of course, someone eventually had to buckle. You just know that a bunch of these big top-dollar companies in the industry who have been crashing and burning over the last few years after delivering piss-poor games, disappointing sequels, and making terrible business and management decisions had just been there, lying in wait, sitting there, grinding their teeth, tweaking out, just waiting for the one with the balls to do it first, preferably someone with a degree of legitimacy so that they could follow along like a little horse avalanche. And now Xbox was the first of many who have been excitedly awaiting for their moment to pounce and announce their price hikes as well. All of this bullshit that Nintendo put out in that statement from Doug Bowser about variable pricing was made up nonsense to cover for their greed. It was just an excuse to increase their prices, never ever to lower them. The prices only variate upwards here. But of course the defenders came out and no, Nintendo is they're just doing their thing, their actions are their own, blah 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 blah. How did that work out? I didn't feel like following up that video with another one breaking down these ridiculous arguments, but screw it. We're here now, so let's just do it. And what goddamn planet do these morons live in, where these industry-wide decisions wouldn't affect the industry widely? Back when the prices were increased to $70 for a single game, the damn story was the same. It didn't stay at one or two companies doing it, it spread to everyone because of course, if your neighbor Paul from across the street is getting 2 loaves of bread from the baker instead of 1, then you are also going to want 2 loaves of bread, even if you've done nothing to deserve them. If Nintendo hadn't been so greedy to push that boundary not past just 60 to 70, but straight up from 70 to 80, I wouldn't have been that mad in my videos because they would have been essentially doing what everyone else was doing. Not that that's the correct thing to do, of course, that would still be antithetical to what Nintendo should have remained standing up for as a family-friendly brand that appeals not just to adults but also kids and remained fun and accessible. But they pushed it to 80. I called it irresponsible because it is irresponsible. It opens a door for everyone else to follow along. And you know, with Microsoft, I honestly expected better. Not because they're Microsoft and supposedly they're better than everyone else because, oh look, they have the Game Pass. That's the best deal in gaming. It's so pro-consumer. Miss me with that console war fanboy bullshit. I merely expected them to do better because Sony had already increased their hardware and subscription prices not that long ago. And now with Nintendo pulling this shit with the variable prices, the penalization of people buying physical media, that's actually what it is by the way, it's not making digital games cheaper, they're not cheaper at all, they're still the same price, in fact the price increased for them as well, it's just that the physical versions have increased even more. Also the cartridge and game keycard problem, which is yet another move that Nintendo shills defended like the goddamn holy grail. That's all that console war fanboys ever do, they defend shit. These companies could be breaking into their homes, taking all their shit and killing their dogs, and they would still be finding ways to either justify it or blame it on the other company. I thought that Xbox would see this and go, okay, it's my time to shine. People are pissed off at Sony, calling them greedy. People are even more pissed off at Nintendo, calling them even greedier. Our console sales are in the shitter. Our first-party games have been underwhelming as fuck, with straight-up embarrassments such as Avowed and South of Midnight just this year alone. Maybe this is a good opportunity for us to show everyone that it's still worth investing on the Xbox ecosystem. And I thought that their pricing of the Oblivion remaster was a sign of that good faith, customer-friendly approach where they took a beloved classic, rebuilt it fully on Unreal Engine, and sold it at $50. Not $60, not $70, and good lord, definitely not $80, just $50, with all of Oblivion's expansions included in the price tag. Meanwhile, what is Sony doing, for example? Well, they're not doing anything. People keep asking for, like a remaster or something of the original infamous games, games, Infamous 1, Infamous 2, and the expansion. People keep asking the same of Resistance, for example, but what is Sony doing instead? Well, they are remaking remasters and remastering brand new games for Naughty Dog, that's it. And what is Nintendo doing? Well, they took Zelda, they slightly upgraded its visuals. Honestly, it doesn't even look like a goddamn upgrade. It looks like someone flicked the graphic settings from low to medium like you would do on any PC, and are selling it for $70 without the expansion, adding that in for another $20. So, you want Zelda plus the expansion on your brand new Switch 2? That'll be $90, you stupid fuck. Thanks and come again. But of course, it was all just too good, too beautiful to believe that Xbox wouldn't be just as greedy and just as retarded as all these other companies. So off they go announcing price hikes on everything. Various console types, controllers, hell, even the goddamn headsets needed an increase. And most importantly, their first-party games, which will be pushed up to $80. Tax not included, right? So remember that, for example, if you're in Europe, you're at least paying 90 goddamn euros for their games. If you're in Canada, you're paying over 100 Canadian dollars, and hell, forget about it if you're in one of those other places in the world where your currency is fucked up, like Brazil, where you'll need to sell your car if you want to play the newest revolutionary first-party Xbox game, which they don't even release physically anymore. That's another thing, all that they do now is digital. So the prices go up and the value goes down, as does our ability to control the market from our very own limited positions, like for example, buying a game and selling it. Just selling it, just buying, playing the game, taking it to a used store, selling it, or trading it in for something else. Even that is being taken away from us while the prices go up. And hey, by the way, for all the Game Pass suckers out there, you know what more expensive games imply? Naturally, more expensive subscription prices. So stay tuned and get excited for that announcement sooner or later as well. It's going to be a doozy. And obviously this is just the first step. We also expect Sony to follow along soon with the same shit because of course, if their neighbors, Johnny Xbox and Joey Nintendo, are selling their loaves of bread at a higher price than them, they're not gonna hang back, especially not with their incredible list of first-party games that they're holding on to, which we are sure to hear their fanboys defend like, oh no, Nintendo baby games and Xbox garbage don't deserve the price hike, but PlayStation's pristine titles absolutely do. I am proud of paying $80 for Intergalactic, the Space Prophet, or whatever the fuck it's called. Didn't you guys see it? The guy from Better Call Saul is in it. Followed by everyone else, of course, your EAs, your Ubisofts, your 2Ks, your Embracers, your Square Enixes, and whoever else that hasn't already been acquired by Microsoft or shut its doors down from having spent the last few years in a state of decay from doing everything that people keep telling them that they don't want any more of. That's truly what is at the core of all of this. The incredible inability of taking responsibility for their failures, this constant chain of retardation as higher-ups, make terrible mistakes running their companies, and instead of addressing the issues, they just sweep them under a rug or paint over them by engaging in more layoffs, project cancellations, sometimes projects that were already well into development, which cancellations of are literally the equivalent of burning a pile of money. And of course, who could forget studio shutdown after studio shutdown, more company restructuring, shifting the blame around, and naturally, the increase of monetization, or, as we are seeing right now, the increasing of the standard prices of these games. And all of this in this deluded attempt at recouping their losses. This ridiculous idea that this is it, this is what's going to do it, this is what's going to help. What really ends up happening is the opposite. The problems are still there. In many cases, the problems just keep getting worse and worse because sometimes they don't just sweep them under the rug and have them go unaddressed. Sometimes they will straight up shift the blame, corrupt the narrative to not regard it as a mistake. So then we're still getting the same games that are straight up unappealing, games that we have no interest in playing, games that are not attractive to us, that we are already rejecting at the $70 price tag, but this time they're going to be even more expensive, making a player go from nope, I'm not going to buy that, to hell no, I'm not going to fucking buy that. This is always our go-to solution. Let's just increase the prices. Ramp up the monetization. Nobody ever bothers to ask, hey man, if we're not selling our garbage at $70, how are we going to be selling it at $80? Or, hey man, if people aren't already subscribing more to our service at the current price, why would they do it at a higher one? No, let's not ask any pertinent questions. Let's just shift the blame, corrupt the narrative, and obfuscate the truth. Just take Veilguard for example. It's no secret why that uninspiring piece of garbage with writing and presentation so terrible that the only other AAA game in recent memory that could take its place atop the throne of dogshit would be perhaps Assassin's Creed Shadows. Veilguard was a game that took a fat shit on its own legacy and roots, not just as a Dragon Age game, but more importantly as a BioWare RPG. The people ahead of this game believed that the key to success was not in exploring what was good about Dragon Age and their DNA as a studio, to take that and dissect it, take it apart, improve it, innovate it, and then take that EA money and put it to good use, bringing all of its individual pieces back together better than ever before, at the highest quality than ever before, and with the pertinent modern improvements that would be expected of it. An actual return to form for a studio that had fallen off. But no, it was none of that. It was instead to break everything apart and standardize it, very much like a reboot, not just mechanically but also in terms of the story as well, erasing everything of note, every decision that players had made throughout the previous titles, and taking a huge dive into inclusion and representation, as if these virtues could make up for everything that they stripped away. And this happens a lot with modern gaming. It's not the only issue, but it's definitely one of them, where these companies think that they can just make a worse fucking product, but if they pump it with virtue signaling and they marketed it and they have all of these online groups praising it and shit, it's going to translate into sales. It's not. In fact, it's becoming the opposite, where whenever these elements are spotted, they are seen as a red flag. This kind of stuff is not a replacement for quality. But what did Andrew Wilson conclude after this game proved itself to be a massive failure? Well, he concluded that the problem at the core of Veilguard's failure was a lack of live service elements.
What are you, fucking stupid?
Live service elements. One of the things that gamers are sick and tired of seeing time and time again, more and more uninspired live service slop. This is what this moron believed that this game was lacking. A game that failed to capture an audience because of its lackluster content needs even more lackluster content, the same type that gets pumped into these live service games, you know, uninspired, vapid, unrewarding, daily quest type of bullshit cycling in and out for players to waste their time. This is what, according to Andrew Wilson, Veilguard needs in order to get that audience, in order to make those dollars. Someone explained to me how this guy is still employed, plus the other moron from WB Games who wanted to make everything into a live service. Soy Squad Kill the Justice League came out, flopped on its ass, and this guy had the balls to go to the media and say, we're not backing down, everything else is going to be live service as well, we are doubling down, baby. How are these morons still employed? If I was at work, cooking, and I made the equivalent of this mistake while making burgers, forget about getting fired, I wouldn't even be allowed to leave.
Where's the lamb sauce? Where's the lamb sauce?
Truly, jokes aside, you don't see delusion of this level anywhere else in the industry. Why is that? Because it's not even delusion. It's an executive who wants more of those sweet bonuses that he used to get back when he was monetizing the shit out of his games, trading short-term gains for a long-term loss that he will not be able to recoup. And so, what was Xbox's reason for this? Well, let's take a look at their statement. We understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. What value? And look at this, focusing on offering more ways to play. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm not going to go into this on this video. I've already made a full video on the the digital future scam. I have a separate video. It goes into detail. You guys can watch it if you want. I won't go into that rigmarole here again, but it's right there on the statement. We can call back to this video in the future. Underneath all the bullshit, what this is just an aggressive push to make games more expensive and get people to be stuck with Game Pass. Make Game Pass the only fucking viable way for gamers to be able to afford games. And once that happens, it's over. It's all over. They control everything at that point, and we have nothing. We lose game ownership, and we also lose the only way that we have to communicate with the industry, to exercise our will, basically to vote with our wallets. We will lose that, because then at that point, everything is just a fucking subscription service. Do they release a pile of garbage of a video game that you have no interest in? Good luck voting for it with your wallet when you're stuck in a subscription future that uses your money to fund their mistakes. To some extent, the Game Pass is already doing that, because it allows companies like Obsidian with Avowed and Compulsion Games with South of Midnight to not sweat over their mistakes. But let's just go with the rest of the damn statement. Careful consideration, market condition, cost of development, this is all just a bunch of bullshit. Did the media bother to interject, to call it out? Well, of course not. Why would the games media ever do anything other than protect these companies to ensure that they retain their access to their products or find a way to push their own narrative? Instead, we have IGN going off about the fucking tariffs again. How this was to be expected because it wasn't just Nintendo, it will never just be Nintendo, it'll be the entire industry because it impacts the entire industry. Someone please explain to me, how the fuck does this apply to video games? This is what I'd like to see IGN or the retards in their comment sections trying to explain. Just the delusion itself of believing this is insane. What caused the price increase from $60 to $70 back in 2020? Which tariffs did that? And 10 years ago, when this industry went rabid chasing after the loot box dream, turning their games into glorified casinos for children, what were the tariffs or the general economic conditions that created this problem? Also, where are the results? I mean, hey, the industry was doing well, right? And then these price increases back in 2020 were already supposedly put into place because, hey man, market conditions, the rising cost of development, inflation, we need to balance things out here. Well, where's the fucking balance then? Why is the AAA space taking a deep dive lately? If Nintendo needed to increase these prices for the same reasons, why are they recording billions of dollars in revenue? I thought these fucking companies were supposed to be struggling to pay their developers salaries. That's the only explanation, right? It's what's there. Inflation affects the market, the costs of development go higher, they need more money. So what the fuck is up with all the money being made right now? Man, get the fuck out of here. Always the same story with these outlets. They're so useless. They're literally so useless to the people that they should be committed to. That's why they're all going under the fucking bridge. All they exist for is to push a goddamn pre-approved message, hand out high review scores for games that are objectively garbage. Again, take the Veilguard example. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, called it a return to form. And yet somehow this highly prestigious score, backed up by this highly favorable praise, ended up being a terrible flop. Not even the modern audience played it, or, well, I guess they did, but there's only like 12 of them that play video games, so I guess that didn't work out. The truth is, the market conditions is just that they've been waiting for years to do it, and Nintendo just took that first step, and so now they're joining the march, and there is no higher cost of development. None that matters anyway. The cost of development going up isn't unique, nor does it justify any of this. Everything has gone up. The entire cost of living has gone up. You buy some fucking socks, it's gone up. You raise the price of the video game from 70 to 80, not because 70 has suddenly become an easier price to pay, nor because the company literally can't handle making these games at $70 anymore. They raise the prices because they're fucked, fellas. They raise these prices because their backs are against the wall. They see their garbage is being rejected, and instead of earnestly addressing that problem head on and genuinely asking themselves, why is it that people are rejecting to buy their slop? Why is it that people are unsubscribing from their services? services? Why is it that people aren't buying the latest release or tripping over themselves to pre-order the next product, etc.? Also a very important one, why is it that we're selling these many copies but are making less money now than when we were 10 years ago with the same amount of sales? This one is vital in the AAA space because we have companies burning money during development. They spend money like you wouldn't believe. It's not even conceivable to the human mind. Some of these budgets are so bloated, it's insane. I can't even picture where the money is being used. If you gave me the amount of money that they use, like for example, Spider-Man 2 cost $315 million to make. I can't. If you gave me that money, I would literally, like if you gave me that amount of money and I was a dirty little cheater, already a cheater, not even an honest developer, if I was a dirty little fuck, a cheater who wants to pocket money, I would not know how to do it. I wouldn't be able to launder that amount of fucking money. I wouldn't know how, you know? I wouldn't be able to make that game that you can fucking complete in like 23 hours and bloat up the fucking budget to $315 million so that I could pocket some of it. I wouldn't be able to do it. If I was like the Al Capone or some shit of the games industry, I would not be able to make that amount of money disappear. I wouldn't know how the fuck to do it. Oh, fellas, I'm sorry for going all sidetracking over there. It's just, it shows such a wild pattern of irresponsibility with the way that they handle money. And then, you know, the blame, not necessarily the blame, but the consequence of that is shifted onto us, where it's our responsibility. We have to buy the garbage, we have to buy the slop, we have to go out like never before, we have to pre-order like never before, and even then it's not enough because the cost of the games is getting so inflated, not naturally because of inflation or whatever, no, but because of mismanagement, that they still need to increase the game prices because the profits that they're already making are not enough. They need some more. So in short, they're literally spending more money and making worse games, and without showing a single sign that they're taking any of this seriously and understanding the assignment. Without asking themselves first, why is it that they're getting lower sales? They're just going, oh, I know, I'll make games $80 this way. When I sell 7 copies of the game, it'll be like I sold 1 extra one, and this will help us recover our losses and make up for our lower sales. Why would we expect any sign of intelligent life in these companies anymore? Why would we expect them to look around at what just happened with Oblivion, where an old-ass RPG from 2006 just outsold and outshined Avowed, an RPG in the same style from current year that they just released in February? Compare both of them and it's quite clear to see why Oblivion outperforms it. Hell, it was already visible during Avowed's launch when people were making videos comparing it to the 2006 version of Oblivion and coming up short, with a 19-year difference between both of them, and a lot more money and resources backing it. And no, I don't give a fuck about Game Pass. I don't care that it's on Game Pass. I mean, sure, I played it through Game Pass, of course I did. I spend as less money as possible whenever I can, whenever I'm reviewing a game. But that doesn't change the fact that Avowed was deeply lacking and not at all worth its price. And in the end, that matters too, because at the end of the day, hey, if games were priced appropriately, if Avowed's price reflected its quality, then the price of a Game Pass subscription would be a lot cheaper too. And I'd say Xbox didn't want it cheaper. Well, no problem. Get the whip and tell these motherfuckers to work harder and make better games, dude. I mean, what the fuck do you mean? It's a business, is it not? But instead, what the Game Pass does is it cushions these games. You know what I mean? Like, these games are falling hard, and the Game Pass is like a little cushion, a little mattress underneath so that they can fall softly onto the mattress, and it's like, okay, it's okay, you outperformed, but it's okay because we still got a bunch of fucking subscribers, so it's fine, you know? The people who subscribed for game ABC will make up for the garbage of game XYZ. Why would these morons ever take note of what's been happening right now with Clair Obscur Expedition 33 as well, where a game from a new studio composed of about 30 developers, many of which used to work at Ubisoft, just took the world by storm, not only outperforming Ubisoft's own latest game in the titan of a franchise that is Assassin's Creed, but also leaving Avowed in the dust while being sold for $45, by the way. Why would these dumb fucking companies take note or any lessons or any signs of the elephant in the room that the prices of these games are not the issue here? The issue here is they are not selling their goddamn games. People are looking at their games and they are finding their quality to not be worth the asking price. Hell, to some, the quality isn't even worth buying, period, no matter what the price is. Increasing it to 80 is not going to help, it'll only make things worse. These big companies have forgotten how to make a good fucking game. They've been selling us the same standardized slop devoid of inspiration for years now, barring the rare occasion where something surprisingly good comes out of their decaying carcasses. They've been investing and chasing all the wrong things while suppressing and neglecting all the right ones. They've gone into shit that rots their companies from inside. They went and corporatized themselves, forgetting what it's like to make a damn game, forgetting their very own roots. So I say let them increase their prices. Fuck it, let it ruin them. Let them go ahead and push it as hard as they can one last time and let the walls keep crumbling down around them. Let them do it and then walk into meetings with boards of directors and investors asking why is it that their profits have not increased despite pumping up the prices of their garbage. Let the media come out with more articles like these. They're fun to read. I'll love nothing more than to make videos laughing at what excuses they'll come up with next to try and justify why is it that their games aren't selling. Why is it that their next Avowed or their next South of Midnight is being made into a laughingstock online. Let AAA go to shit around them as AA rises from the ashes with more creatively rich, experimental, fun, surprising, and fairly priced gems such as Expedition 33 and others like Atomfall that, while a bit rougher around the edges, still provide a much more unique and satisfying experience than what these slop churners could ever hope to put out these days. Now more than ever, vote with your wallets and give no quarter. Give your time and money to games and companies that deserve it. Don't fall victim to FOMO and shit like that. If you just take a look around you, you're going to see how many games you actually have to occupy your time while you wait for a price drop on those bigger games, because they're gonna drop fast. They're gonna drop fast and fucking quick, fellas. These companies truly don't understand. They don't get it. They don't see why they're failing, and because they don't see why they're failing, they are helpless to fix that problem. They're just going to keep digging deeper and deeper holes for themselves, making worse and worse decisions that lead them to a collapse, because this is actually legitimately unsustainable. I don't say this because it's hyperbole or anything, I mean it. It really is unsustainable. So they can either change or they'll be taking themselves out. Anyway guys, sorry for this scattered ass video, I just had to rant. Thanks for watching, like the video if you enjoyed it, and take care of yourselves out there. See you on the next one.